Welcome back, everyone. A busy week in Washington picked up the pace even more today.
Along with Russia-Ukraine tensions, we now have a retiring Supreme Court justice. Joining us to discuss these developments, Greta Van Susteren, host of Full Court Press and Western Mass News' chief national political analyst. Greta, welcome. President Biden says he's willing to impose personal sanctions against Putin if Russia invades Ukraine. What would that look like, and what other sanctions is the U.S. considering?
Well, I'm not so sure the personal sanctions on Putin would have any impact at all. I mean, think about Putin. He's worth about $70 billion, so I don't think he's really worried about money. I doubt his money is in U.S. banks to be frozen. I'm sure that he has carefully hidden his money away in Russia where it's safe. He doesn't have to worry about an opposition party. His opposition leader is in jail right now. He doesn't have to worry about that. He doesn't have midterm elections like President Biden where he has to worry about other parties disagreeing with him. And of course, the media, which, in this country theoretically holds, feet to the fire of politicians. He doesn't have to worry about that either since it's state-run media. So I don't think he particularly cared. It wouldn't have a huge impact on him. I don't think he'd like it, though. I mean, it's sort of insulting to him. I think what he might worry about more is that some sanctions that might impact the economy in Russia. I mean, Russia's got a fragile economy. It's got in fact, one of its greatest assets is natural gas, and it's been sending it through a pipeline through Ukraine, and now it's called Nord Stream 1 pipeline, and there's another one, Nord Stream 2, that should have been ready to go in September that's not going yet. And I think that's where, if that somehow got cut off, that would impact on the Russian people and the economy. However, Europe doesn't want that cut off because Europe depends on that for their heat and for cooking and everything else. So Europe doesn't want to shut those pipelines down. So I'm not so sure, what kind of sanctions would really impinge on Putin. I just think that, that the president says that and everybody says that because we'd like to have sanctions have a tremendous impact to change his behavior. I'm not so confident that it would.
Greta, also another big story domestically. Supreme Court Justice Stephen Breyer announcing his retirement. Now, when would he actually be leaving, and who do you think President Biden is looking to replace Justice Breyer with?
Well, that is big news. Supreme Court Justice Breyer is retiring. He's been on the bench a number of years. I would expect that to be effective June 30th when the term ends. The Supreme Court comes back the first Monday in October, so the president would want to have a new justice seated by that point, and I'd expect that would happen. Look, the reason why it happens now rather than after the midterms is because Justice Breyer wants to give President Biden as much latitude as he wants in choosing someone to replace him on the bench. And if you look at it, is that right now the Democrats have the Senate. Not so clear that's going to happen after the midterms. So no matter who President Biden nominates between now and the midterms, assuming that there's a hearing, and I would assume a hearing to happen quickly, is that person is just going to slide right through to the Supreme Court. It doesn't matter how much opposition that might face in the Republican Party. So that's why it is done right now. In terms of choices, President Biden said during the campaign that he was going to choose an African-American woman, and it's anticipated that he's going to keep that promise. Remember, back in the early 1980s when President Reagan ran for president, a Republican, he said that he was going to name a woman to the Supreme Court, and in fact he did, Justice Sandra Day O'Connor. So there's precedent for sort of identifying, who you're going to name. But look, there are a lot of candidates the president's going to be looking at. There's a judge on the U.S. Court of Appeals that people are talking about today. There's a California Supreme Court justice, but we're just sort of at the tip of the iceberg, and I expect that that the sort of vetting and getting together the universe of possibilities have been going on for quite some time because it was anticipated that a president does get a nominee to the Supreme Court. So I don't know when the nominee will be named, but Justice Breyer, he says he's retiring.
All right, Greta, thanks so much for your time today.
Thanks, Greta.
Thank you.